Welcome back to our episode. Ryan and Kevin here with Chaos MMA. And today we have on Justin Van Heerden, who fights for the Eternal Belt December 2nd. Justin, man, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. Can't complain. Just yeah, like you said, getting prepared to fight for this belt in December, and a bit, I guess, a bit more excited to get back in there and compete because I was meant to fight a couple weeks ago, got injured, so I had to like push it back. But yeah, just get ready to go and cap off the year. What's already been a massive year for me.
Yeah, so you're all healed up now, injury wise.
Yeah, so I've just got to I've got like one more checkup just to make sure, just to like there's more of a just to sort of make sure everything's fully all sorted, which we're pretty confident that it is. But it's better to be that extra bit more careful and just make sure everything's sort of in the right spot. And then then it's a matter of just getting stuck in and getting into sort of the harder sort of sessions through camp.
Yeah, glad to hear you're all healed up now. But for you, what is the rest of the day looking like for you? I know you just got done training. We're in the United States, so we're in New York and PA, so we're almost getting ready for bed. I know your day just started, but what's the rest of the day looking like for yourself?
Yeah, so pretty much like for the rest of the day, I'm just going to spend some time with my daughter and then go back into the gym this afternoon. Have like a sort of a light sort of session this afternoon. Maybe do some pad work and drill some stuff. And then because normally it sort of just depends on where we're at in the camp. So, for example, next week, we really start getting things going on a Friday morning.
Yeah.
I'd go into the gym and I'd do one of my spider sessions, which is probably one of, or if not the hardest sort of session we do through our camp to prepare for a fight, and one of our sort of fight simulations. I'm sure you guys would have seen, in the media and stuff like that, like when Alex is talking about some of the sessions that we do and how difficult they can be. That's sort of one of them. So normally on a Friday we do that in the morning, and then that's sort of a day where we just do that session in the morning and then do like a bit of active recovery in the afternoon, because from like a Wednesday to Saturday for me, things really pick up in intensity. So then I've got to be a bit smart with my recovery and making sure that we're not just overdoing it, and it's all sort of worked out worked out perfectly between Joe, my conditioning coach, my nutritionist. So everything sort of flows naturally.
Grinding.
Yes, sounds good, Justin. But let's get more into the fight. So you got a title fight. Congratulations. So when you first got that call, what was your initial reaction?
Well, I kind of when they called me initially, when we got the call and got off the actual contract for the fight, I was kind of like, yeah, it was a bit, I kind of knew it was coming, but to get the phone call, get the contract, and actually know that it's for sure locked in and happening was kind of, just made me feel really good, because I set out at the start of the year I wanted to have 3 fights, get 3 finishes, and I did that. So when I ticked off that goal for the year, I was like, all right, cool. I've set myself up to have a title fight early next year or something like that. But then when I kind of spoke to Cam, who's a promoter for Eternal, and he was like, we can lock that in. Let's get it done. Get it in this year. I was like, okay, cool. And I was just stoked because knowing the position that it puts me in now, like I'm the clear number 1 featherweight in the country without a doubt, but winning that belt kind of cements that for me and then sets me up quite nicely, where I'd need like maybe a title defense or 2. And we're talking about me fighting in Contender Series or just a straight UFC call up, like being that Eternals established himself now as the biggest promotion in the region. And, having that belt carries a bit of weight around it now. So, the eyes are on you. You just got to sort of capitalize on it. So I was like, I was super stoked.
Yeah, so you're just saying how you're hoping to get to that Contender Series or really the UFC. So do you feel like you become champion in 2 months? Do you feel like that's just the first step of your journey? Like that's a big part of it? Or do you think even if you don't get this belt, there's still other options for you?
Yeah, there's for sure going to be other options. But I mean, in terms of winning the belt, like, and winning the Eternal title as and winning that sort of belt, to be honest, winning the belt isn't really something I could care less about. I've got an Australian title already. It's just, I just know that, it's going to be a massive card. It's stacked. There's going to be all eyes on you. It's on UFC Fight Pass. People are watching, and like I said, it's more so the notoriety that comes with having that status of being a champion in the promotion that kind of is going to benefit me more. But for me, the second I won my first Australian title, it was kind of like, all right, the focus now is on building towards a world title. And, you know, I have that added benefit of training with the world champion and seeing him, you know, day in, day out, and how he sort of carries himself and what he does. So I know what it takes to get there, and I know what I need to do. So it's kind of lasered my focus even more.
Yeah, well, I mean, it seems like you're ready. I mean, it seems like you're ready. It seems like you're ready to get that belt. Even if it's not even a big part of the journey, it seems like you're ready to get that belt. And speaking of training camp, how has training camp been going? Where have you been training for this training camp?
Yeah, so obviously I split my training between, you know, freestyle, and then I do some of my other sort of conditioning and stuff like that at Baymed Performance. But, you know, the bulk of the work gets done inside the doors of freestyle, you know, under Joe Lopez and alongside some of my teammates. You know, we sort of we do some hard work on those mats, and we have the benefit of, you know, we're constantly sharing the mats with some top level fighters. Like, you know, currently sort of you have guys like Josh Kulabau, Jamie Malaki, Tyson Pedro, you know, people like that coming through the doors. You know, and even earlier in the year, and I was sort of in between some of my fights, I was sort of, because I went back to back, you know, we had some of the guys from CKB pop in when they were, you know, just after they got off done with their fights. So, you know, I'm constantly sharing the mats with high level people, and, you know, my coaching's obviously at a very high level. So, yeah, doing the work at freestyle is just like, I mean, I think if you look at my performances throughout the year so far, you would have, like, people, it's not hard for people to see the improvements from fight to fight, even in quick succession like that. And that just comes back to being able to go back straight in and do the work to improve. But then, I mean, look at the caliber of people I get to share the mats with, and whether you don't sort of, I guess you sort of lose. For myself, it's hard for me to pick out the improvements or be able to spot the improvements, because I'm probably my hardest critic. But at the same time, it's hard for me to pick out those daily improvements. But it's going to happen. I mean, you don't share the mats with someone like Alexander Volkanovski and then not make improvements and big leaps. Like, you just have to. So yeah, it's all gone really well. So, you know, freestyle's been the best decision I've ever made for myself in my MMA career. And I think, yeah, that's the results I'm getting in the cage shows that.
Yeah, I mean, you're training with the number one pound for pound fighter in the world. You're definitely getting better. I know that for a fact. You're definitely getting better because of that too. But speaking of this fight, what are your thoughts of Pereira as an opponent? Like, what do you see in his game? Anything to watch out for? What are your thoughts on him?
So Diego and I have a bunch of history. So I actually fought Diego in my second pro fight, and he got the win over me in that fight. And since then, before I came to freestyle, so I think it was end of 2017 and start of 2018, I actually moved and changed gyms and joined the gym that Diego is based out of, the Southside. So for a few years, you know, we were teammates. We cornered each other for fights. We were doing some solid work together. So, you know, we know each other quite well. You know, I'd consider us, you know, obviously we're friends and stuff like that, but we're competitors, so we're going to get there and compete. But to be honest, and this isn't even like me trying to, you know, knock the guy or anything like that, but he hasn't made any adjustments or any improvements or changed his game up too much since we fought. And, you know, I'm a big numbers guy, and numbers don't lie when we're talking about that. Since we fought, he's gone 5-4. In his last 5, he's 2-3 with 2 finishes. Since we fought, I've gone 9-4 at featherweight, 8-2. My last 5-4-1 with 3 finishes. So, I mean, I look at the guy that fought him back the first time we fought, and I look at the version of a fighter that I am now, and it's not even comparable. Whereas if you look at him, he still fights a very similar way. Like, obviously he's made like adjustments and improved in some ways and changed things up a little bit, but not too much. So, you know, I'm not expecting him to bring out anything that I've never seen before from him, whether that was in the training room or the first time we fought. But I'm definitely, you know, respectful of his skills, because unlike my other opponents, I know him quite well. We have there's a lot of history there, and I often relate him to being like Cowboy. He's a mental fighter. If he's on and he's focused and he comes in there, he's a world beater. He can beat anyone. Like, he's dangerous. But if he's not, then we've seen him crumble to sort of lesser opposition that he had no business losing to. So, and I know that. So I guess there's plenty of things for me to exploit, but I do know if I come in there and I'm not giving this dude the full respect, or I'm sort of overlooking certain things, you know, it could be a rough night. I could get head kicked and that could be it.
Yeah. So, what is your official prediction for this fight? Like, Justin beats Pereira by what?
I would say if I was going to make prediction, I'd say submission inside 3.
I like it.
Sounds good, man. And yeah, a couple more questions here. So you're saying you're training with the pound for pound right now, Volkanovski. How is it training with them? Because you're behind the scenes. Us fans in media, we really don't see like how hard he's working. So really, like, what's the mindset behind the scenes?
Uh, it's he's the most obsessive hard worker that you could picture. You know, it's
Yeah.
For someone of like that, you know, to sort of equate the way he approaches things, you would think that being someone like him in his position, being pound for pound number one, being the champ, you know, he'd be like, he'd come into the gym, do his work, and then kind of like that'd be it, and he'd just bail out and go, and no one would even be able to, you know, everyone would be like, oh, that's fine, like you're the champ, you do you. But that dude is there working, and then he's putting in all the extra time to help all of us, you know, improve and stuff like that. So, you know, he's doing everything. But yeah, his work rate is ridiculous. It's like everyone's heard the stories of like Kobe Bryant's work ethic and like Michael Jordan's work ethic, and you know, his is, I'd equate his to being similar to that. It's just he's obsessed with getting better, even though he's already the best. He just wants to improve, and that's why I think if you look at his last few performances in a similar sort of trend, he's made improvements in from fight to fight in quick succession as well. And people are like, how's he doing that? And it just comes back to the work rate. That guy just shows up and works like it's his first day in the gym, like he's, you know, trying to just see if he can even like make a run in the sport. And so nothing's changed. And I think that's, you know, like I sort of touched on before, I have the window to see that, like you said, the behind the scenes thing. So I can adopt those things and you know, and try and, you know, follow what he's doing and emulate that in my own game. And I think, and my own approach to the sport. And I think that's kind of shown. So it just, yeah, it's an obsessive work rate to just keep grinding, keep improving. And then he's just a selfless individual when it comes to coaching, when it comes to, you know, being around the gym and stuff like that. Like he's there all the time, whether he's got fights lined up or not, still working, still training, still coaching, still helping everyone out. So it comes down to that mindset and that work ethic and that self-belief that just didn't go anywhere and is never going to go anywhere.
Yeah. I mean, based on what you're saying, it seems like he's a crazy worker. He's already number one pound for pound. He's only getting better, which is scary. What he did to Holloway, I mean, I was left speechless. That was a crazy performance, amazing performance. But you're gonna only get better too because this too, being around this guy at the gym every day too. So that's great for you. But for you, last thing here, can't wait for this fight. Tune in December 2nd for this title fight. Gonna be a great fight. I think you're gonna put on an amazing performance. But the last thing we do at the end, a little segment for the viewers, just ask you a random question. First thing that comes to your mind, you say the answer. You ready?
Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. Favorite food?
Pizza.
Pizza. I love it. I love it. Favorite?
Pizza, not even close.
Yeah, pizza is amazing. Favorite movie?
Ooh, oh man, I'm a movie fanatic. I'd say if I was to pick a favorite, probably Godfather.
That's a good
What's
one.
your favorite hobby outside of fighting in the gym?
Probably video games.
Yes.
What's your favorite snack or candy?
I'd say M&M's by a mile. Yeah, M&M's.
Can't go wrong with M&M's. And last few things here. Favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show. Probably Breaking Bad. It's hard. Like there's, I mean, so many good shows and content nowadays, but Breaking Bad still sits like high on my list. That was such a good series.
No, I haven't seen it, but maybe I'll start it. But favorite UFC fighter growing up?
Growing up, I'd probably go with GSP, and then in a more modern sense or modern era, I'd probably say Khabib. Probably the two that sit high on my list. Obviously, Alex, but
Yeah,
you know, he's on that list too. But I mean, like from before I started competing and like especially before I went pro, yeah, those two guys kind of stick out. And I think obviously now my game's changed a lot more. It's a lot more well-rounded. You can see I've made improvements across the board, but it's no secret when it comes to the grappling and wrestling. It's very similar to how Khabib approaches the game.
Yeah. And last one, who is your MMA GOAT?
Man, that's always a hard one. But it's hard, like I'd say I got to go with Mighty Mouse.
Okay.
Based on what he was able to do during his run and the stuff he was able to pull off in active fights in competition, he's got to be. Yeah, he's just a freak. I feel like if he was at featherweight, lightweight, welterweight, and middleweight, and he did the things he did, it wouldn't even be close. Like we'd be going, okay, that guy's a freak. Like what is going on? I feel like because he's a flyweight, it's underappreciated, but anyone that can suplex someone and then land in an armbar, he might be one of the greatest fighters alive.
Yeah.
That was
Thank you a lot, man, for coming on. So if you want to shout out any social media or sponsors, the floor is yours, man.
Yeah, so just obviously Instagram, Lockjaw MMA is probably the best place to find me or get at me. And probably just thanks CMB2, who's probably one of my biggest sponsors, and Eddie's Barbershop in Shell Harbour, But then, and obviously just my team at Freestyle, my coaches, everyone that believes me. And always want to give my daughter a shout out. She's the best, and she's who I'm sort of trying to set a good example for. So she's the best.
What's her name?
Justice Juniper Rose.
Shout out to Justice. Thank you again so much for coming on, man. It was really good talking to you. And
I know in 2 months you're gonna have that shiny belt, man, when we catch up. I know you will.
Oh, for sure. Next time we catch up,
talk right
we're
after.
going to be talking about debut fights in the UFC. Believe that.
I can't wait, man. Thanks again for your time. Go look for your fight. We'll catch up soon.
Thank you.
Good, man. Peace.